And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Up first, today's ice edge. Just a little bit of ice here south of St. Lawrence Island, and then some thinner ice on up in toward the Bering Strait. So not much to look at here anymore. And from there, looking at tonight's forecast, a weak system out here keeping it wet over the eastern Aleutians back in toward the, actually crossed all of the Aleutians. Dry over the northern Bering Sea, diminishing shower activity here over the eastern interior, and dry for the southeast coast, rain ending here over the northern panhandle sometime this evening, definitely after midnight, just a risk of a shower down to the southeast. And then for tomorrow, dry for the panhandle with some sun breaks, mostly sunny North Gulf Coast, south central Alaska. Better chance of some thunderstorms developing here from the Talkeetna Mountains southward in the Matanuska Valley, Kenai Peninsula area. Also, some possible thunderstorms for the western Alaska Range all the way around. Otherwise, sunny and warm up over the interior there, upper Tanana Valley, in the Yukon Flats, as well as out here to the west. And for Sunday, less in the way of shower and thunderstorms going on here. A lot of sunshine, temperatures 60s and 70s, southern Alaska, Susitna Valley, Copper River Basin, well into the 70s. And 60s and 70s for the southeast coast, 70s and lower 80s for the central and eastern interior. Pretty mild temperatures all the way back out to the west, dry for the north slope with some sunshine. Clouds and risk of a shower here, some areas of light rain, fog and drizzle for all of the Aleutian chain. And for the coastal water forecast for the south coast here, looking at northwest winds tomorrow at 20 knots, north at 10 for the central coast, variable at 10 for the north coast. And for Lynn Canal, north at 10, northwest winds 10 knots for Stevens Passage and Clarence Strait. Sunday, northwest 15 for Clarence Strait, central northern inner channel, south at 15, west northwest for the south coast for the day on Sunday, west 15 on the central coast, and light west southwest wind at 10 knots for the north coast. Cook Inlet tomorrow, north winds at 10 knots, northwest at 15 for Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands. Light variable winds for the North Gulf Coast, and Prince William Sound, not much different, but basically southeasterly at 10 knots with 2-foot seas. Then North Gulf Coast and Prince William Sound on Sunday, all looking at a light variable wind pattern with slight seas. South 15, Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, Cook Inlet, south to southwest at about 10 knots, and that might cool it off over West Anchorage a little bit on Sunday with that onshore flow from what we'll see tomorrow, possibly, give or take. And for the Kodiak Island area, southwest winds 15 to 20 knots, Alaska Peninsula east winds at 20 knots, and Bristol Bay west winds at 10 knots. For Sunday, Kodiak Island, southwesterlies 15 to 20 knots, and the Alaska Peninsula east winds, east-southeast 15 to 25 knots, otherwise staying light there for Bristol Bay, southwest breeze at 10. And for the western Aleutians, variable winds to northeast at 10 to 15 knots. Central Aleutians, east at 20 knots. And swell current advisories for the Fox Islands, east winds 25 to 30 knots with seas 5 to 12 feet. And for Sunday, still small current advisories here for the eastern Aleutians, 25 to 30 knot winds out of the east. East-northeast, 15 to 20 knots here for Adak and Atka. And just variable winds for the western Aleutians at 10 to 15 knots with seas running about 5 to 6 feet. Pribilof Island, small craft advisories tomorrow for east winds up to 25 knots, east at 20 for St. Matthew Island. North to northeast breezes at 10 to 15 knots here for the southwest coast, St. Lawrence Island, and west at 10 for Norton Sound. And then for Sunday, Norton Sound, northwest at 15, north to northeast, 10 to 15 knots for the southwest coast, St. Lawrence Island, northerlies at 15. 20-knot winds here for St. Matthew Island and the Pribilofs. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, light east winds 5 to 10 knots, southeast at 10 for the central coast, southwest 25 for the western Arctic coast. For the Chukchi Sea, south to southwest winds 15 to 30 knots. And then for Sunday, for the Chukchi Sea, south to southwest winds 10 to 20 knots, southwest at 20, western Arctic coast, south at 10 on the central coast, east side here, east winds 5 to 10 knots.